Into the U.S. men's national team. They played the second leg of the Concacaf Nations League quarterfinals last night against Trinidad and Tobago. It was a 2-1 loss. They do advance 4-2 on aggregate. We talked a lot about the Serginho Dest situation and his sending off, but we didn't really hit on the tactical side of this match. And Charlie, I know you took a little bit of umbrage with the way this team was set up in the formation that Greg Berhalter put out. Can you elaborate for us?
Yes, considering the first match, right? So you see Trinidad and Tobago have just zero care in attacking in that first match. There was no impetus from Trinidad and Tobago. They said, we're going to just defend with 11 in our own box. At halftime, I would have expected for Greg Berhalter to go into a two-striker system with Ricardo Pepi and Balogun. At halftime, there's no wait, because we know they're not attacking us. They might counter with one player, right? We'll defend that one player with two center backs. Everyone else use the width. Kevin Paredes, I think, and Anthony Robinson were taking up the same space. You didn't have too many players playing in between the lines, and I think the tactics were wrong in that first game. But he made some adjustments late. They got the 3-0 win. So you honestly can say water under the bridge because the result, you won 3-0. Now, going to Trinidad, up 3-0, why would you start with two strikers on the road in a game that's already done? Knowing that they have to change their tactics. They have to come.
Especially in CONCACAF.
Regardless, okay, you go with the two strikers, you do with a new system. I think at that point, when Dest gets the red card, that you don't go and take off Gio Reyna, who was on a minutes. Obviously, there was some limitation of how long Gio Reyna could play, right? But don't take off a midfielder to put on a right back, and then you shorten the midfield because now you're playing a 4-2-2-2-2, when I think you take off a striker to solidify the midfield. So that, for me, was a big issue because you kept your two strikers, you took off a midfielder, now you have this big vacant hole in the midfield, so second balls were apparent, the two strikers, they hadn't played together, so there was no symmetry between the two, or chemistry. I like that Balogun would come out and try and pull players out of position. He was playing some great passes in that first half. I think we squandered chances. But if you're looking at the whole setup, the substitutions, I think Luca de la Torre didn't really have a presence whatsoever. You didn't sub him until the 90th minute.
If I'm Leonard Maloney and I get subbed on in the 93rd minute, if I'm the manager who's telling Leonard Maloney.
Who?
Leonard Maloney.
Thank you.
Giving him an opportunity to play. In this game, you're really putting me on the 93rd minute. It would irk me a little bit. I understand it's the national team, but it would still irk me a little bit considering how the game played out. But to your point, take risks at home. Do the two-striker system. If you want to shake things up, do the two-striker system at home. But in CONCACAF, in the Caribbean, where there's so many things that can go wrong, so many unpredictable moments that can happen.
How about like a red card?
Like a red card. And then you know what? That was the time to adjust. And on top of that, I think the U.S. shouldn't have lost to the 99th best team in the world on a red card. You lock up shop, you adjust, and you hold the game out. Their players, they have some players playing in third-tier leagues. We have players playing in Champions League. We shouldn't be losing to Trinidad and Tobago despite the man disadvantage. It was the way that the game was taken care of. It didn't show maturity or experience from the manager.
No, so you know there's two buckets here. One, right, the players need to produce and perform. You're playing against Trinidad, knowing the history of this match, 2017. You'd say, let's send a message so the remnants of that result are gone. Bye-bye. We don't play with that anymore. It's gone. And I felt that not only did the players underperform, but from the manager's standpoint, to get that, you have to manage the emotions of the squad to make sure that they're playing with a real intensity and purpose. And you never quite felt that, especially after the red card. You come in at halftime, you say, guys, we're going to rally. We're going to play the best half of my tenure this half, this next 45, we're going to send a message we're even better with 10. In spite of Serginho, we're going to play better now. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of a pragmatic style defensively, but we're going to counter like hell against this team because they're going to have to come and we're going to punish them. Did you see that from them in that second half?
Nope.
Did you see that fire?
Did not.
And I think that's what is, for me as a former player, I'm discouraged when I don't see that fire. And I know there's no Weston. I know there's no Christian. I know there's no Tyler Adams. I know that.
Not an excuse.
You got to put that aside because that does not matter in this situation.
It's not against the Trinidad and Tobago. No disrespect to Trinidad and Tobago, but we have the players to beat them, even without a Serginho Dest. My question to you is, if you know Gio Reyna essentially must come out at that time, if what they're saying is true and that he was maybe being limited with minutes.
There was a limit restriction.
Sure.
But
if that's the case, you remove him, you're already down a player. You know Balogun is checking back, so he's essentially taking space in the midfield. Definitely not the number 10 you want. But if you know he's doing that, and they're not necessarily both staying up front, him and Pepe, who would you bring in that opportunity, knowing you also probably want to get another defender up there to at least just hold the fort and say, let's walk out of here without giving up the aggregate lead? What decision do you make there? Because I do think Scally provided something good when he came on, and I get that maybe that's not the exact kind of exchange. I still think Scally provided something coming onto the pitch.
no, you have to replace your right back.
Sure.
Just from a organization standpoint, you have to be organized, and so you're getting right back because your right back gets sent off.
Sure.
But you don't take off a midfielder
Right.
when you're playing
Take
with
off a
two
forward.
But if you know you
attackers.
have to take that midfielder off,
No,
what do
but
you do?
not
Do
at
you
that
make two
time.
subs?
Take him off at halftime.
No, you don't.
Well, we said he was in a minutes restriction. Do we know exactly what those minutes are?
Okay, let's just say it's 45.
Then yeah, you can make that decision.
You finish at half.
Sure, but let's say it's not. Let's say that
You
was
take
that.
off a striker. You're playing with two.
Knowing
One has
you
to
also
come
have to
off.
take Gio Reyna off is what I'm saying.
Right, and then
Yes.
at halftime,
Okay.
if just say the sub was a halftime sub for Gio, all right, you give him those last 3 minutes, you bring on Scally, put your right back where
Or
the right back
Tillman.
needs to play, fill that void, and then fine, if you need to take Gio Reyna off, take him off and put Tillman on.
Regardless,
Tillman's the only one that can really come in and do
You're
what
going
he
to tell me
does.
Scally was going to come in for Gio at half?
No. I'm
No.
saying I wanted Scally in. I'm just saying I'm trying to play devil's advocate, or at least put you in the position of being coach. If you know you have to take, if that's the variable, you have to remove Reyna at this moment. It's unfortunate that a red card just happened.
Right.
Do you make those two subs, or do you try to hold on for the next few minutes of the first half with just Scally and no number 10 in that place?
What you're doing is Serginho comes off. So you have to bring on a right back.
Right.
You have to put him on. So Scally was naturally your backup right back.
Yeah.
But what I'm telling you is when you're subbing off a player, you don't sub off Gio Reyna. You don't sub off a midfielder.
Yes.
You sub off a striker. You have an extra striker. You're playing with two. You don't need two to beat Trinidad and Tobago.
Facts.
You need just one. So you keep Pepe or you keep Balogun. You make a decision and you sub them off. And then at halftime, you adjust.
Correct.
You say, okay, Gio Reyna, you knew you were on a minutes restriction. You come off. Now we play on Leonard Maloney.
See, this is
a
the thing.
defensive-minded midfielder
Correct.
who gets an opportunity to
Correct.
shore up the midfield because you say what, we're down a man, we're not going to concede a goal. If we win 1-0, we win 1-0, and we wrap it up, it's Concacaf, we're on the road,
Correct.
that's it. But that wasn't the case. And we haven't even touched on Matt Turner.
Okay, yep.
Matt Turner,
ran out of
his
time.
form is not there. His confidence, his form. We talked about the ball. There's a ball in behind. I thought Matt Turner would come out, and he stayed in his net.